This is the greatest speech about Bitcoin and why Bitcoin matters.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the world's first cryptocurrency, and it works because of the world's first public blockchain network. What does Bitcoin do? It's simple. It lets you send and receive value to and from anyone in the world using nothing more than a computer and an internet connection. Now, why is it revolutionary? Because unlike every other tool for sending money over the internet, it works without the need to trust a middleman. The lack of any corporation in between means that Bitcoin is the world's first public digital payments infrastructure. And by public, I simply mean available to all and not owned by any single entity.
Okay, break it down in terms of, I think I'm getting you.
I think Bitcoin is a fundamental reimagining of human civilization. It's only through consensual exchange in a Bitcoinized world that we are productive. Its integrity is rooted in the laws of physics, and it's resistant to politics because it's dematerialized. Bitcoin optimizes our ability to express our will to power and therefore lets us be free.
We live in a day and age where financial censorship is coming in hot. Just look at these headlines. We also live in a time where the dollar is losing value at an alarming rate as the US continues to print and print money with no end in sight. Bitcoin fixes this.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that?
There is no end to our ability to do that.
What did we learn from 2008?
Bitcoin is supported by energy and Austrian economics. It is backed by mathematical purity. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the scarcest asset in the world. There's a reason why many economists believe that Bitcoin is the greatest invention and investment of our lifetime. Let's listen to the rest of Peter's speech, and I'll share some of my closing thoughts at the end of this video.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Peter van Valkenberg, and I'm the Director of Research at Coin Center, an independent nonprofit focused on the public policy issues affecting cryptocurrency and public blockchain networks. Now, we have public infrastructure for information, for websites, for email. It's called the internet. But the only public payments infrastructure that we have is cash, as in paper money. And it only works in face-to-face transactions. Before Bitcoin, if you wanted to pay someone remotely over the phone or the internet, then you could not use public infrastructure. You would rely on a private bank to open their books and add a ledger entry that debits you and credits the person you're paying. And if you both don't use the same bank, well, then there'll be multiple banks and multiple ledger entries in between. With Bitcoin, the ledger is the public blockchain, and anyone can add an entry to that ledger, transferring their Bitcoins to someone else. And anyone, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, gender, sex, or creditworthiness, can for absolutely no cost create a Bitcoin address in order to receive payments digitally. Bitcoin is the world's first globally accessible public money. Is it perfect? No, neither was email when it was invented in 1972. Bitcoin's not the best money on every margin. It's not yet accepted everywhere. It's not used often to quote prices, and it's not always a stable store of value. But it is working, and the mere fact that it works without trusted intermediaries is amazing. It's a computer science breakthrough, and it will be as significant for freedom, prosperity, and human flourishing as the birth of the internet.
What about this internet thing? Do you know anything about that?
Sure.
An internet service provider? What's that?
It's a service that connects you to the internet through special super high-speed lines.
And Bitcoin is just the beginning. If we can replace private payments infrastructure, then we can replace other private choke points to human interaction as well. Now, why should we want to build more public infrastructure? Why should we embrace blockchains over corporate intermediaries? Why should we tolerate their inefficiencies and work to make them better? Why should we want the pioneers of this technology here in the United States and not fleeing overseas? A simple reason. Because the corporate intermediaries providing today's critical but privately owned infrastructure are becoming fewer, larger, and more powerful. and their failures increasingly grave. So roughly half of all Americans, 143 million people, had their social security numbers exposed to hackers because of a breach at Equifax. The SWIFT network has relayed hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent transactions because of hacked member banks in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Ecuador, and Russia. The FBI suspects now that the largest of these hacks was perpetrated by North Korea. Corrupt, low-level employees at an Indian bank, Punjab National, were able to fraudulently certify SWIFT messages, stealing $1.8 billion. It's the largest electronic bank robbery in history. In fact, it's the largest bank robbery in history.
Arnar. Arnar.
In October 2016, an estimated 1.2 million internet-connected devices were hacked and turned into a botnet that for several hours made prominent websites unavailable across Europe and North America, including CNN and Fox News, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Increasingly, physical machines are being connected to the internet to augment their capabilities. They're wired through servers that are owned and maintained by private and trusted intermediaries, the so-called Internet of Things. Pacemakers from St. Jude's Hospital have been hacked. Baby monitors from TrendNet have been hacked. And Jeeps from Jeep have been hacked to the point where they can be remotely commandeered and driven off the road.
It's true.
Now, those vulnerabilities are inescapable in systems that have single points of failure. It doesn't matter if the point of failure is a corporation or if it's a government. There shouldn't be a single point of failure. Similar choke points existed before the internet. If you wanted to deliver a message, you'd have to go through one of 3 television broadcasters or a handful of newspapers. Private corporations are essential, but no critical infrastructure should rely on 1 or 2. The internet removed single points of failure in communications infrastructure and ushered in a wave of competition among new media corporations building on top of its public rails. Blockchains can similarly disintermediate critical payments and IoT infrastructure. The technology is not yet ready to answer all of those questions today, but it is our best hope. And as with the internet in the 1990s, we need a light-touch, pro-innovation policy to ensure that these innovations flourish in America for the benefit and security of all Americans.
I'm so grateful for people like Peter Van Valkenberg, who are educating policymakers about how Bitcoin makes our world a better place. I want to answer a few more questions that I've heard people ask me when I talk to them about Bitcoin. What gives Bitcoin any value? Bitcoin is the first accounting innovation in 700 years. It is the first immutable ledger in human history. It is the first censorship-resistant transaction that does not require a central authority. It is 100% public. It is settled over $12 trillion in 2021. Bitcoin is the greatest invention of our lifetime. Bitcoin is the Internet 2.0 and gold 2.0 combined. It is backed by Austrian economics, or more simply put, Bitcoin is backed by supply, demand, energy, and math. Does Bitcoin use too much energy, and is it bad for the environment? Here's the truth. The current central banking system that we have uses 56 times more electricity than Bitcoin. Think of all the buildings with air conditioning, trucks, dollars printed on paper, and cars driving to and from work for a traditional bank. That's a lot of electricity. 58% of Bitcoin is mined with green energy. This number will continue to increase as Bitcoin incentivizes green energy innovation. It is also worth noting Bitcoin uses less energy than we use for Christmas lights during the holidays. Did you know that Bitcoin miners can help stabilize our electric grid around the world? Many electric power companies produce more electricity than they actually need. Bitcoin miners can use this excess energy when necessary. Bitcoin miners can also turn their machines off to help provide extra electricity for people in need during emergencies. Check out my video on Bitcoin Lake about how Bitcoin is making a positive impact in the environment in developing nations such as Guatemala. Isn't Bitcoin too volatile of an investment? Yes. Bitcoin is volatile, but if you zoom out, you will see that Bitcoin is constantly moving up and to the right, meaning if you hold Bitcoin for 4 years or more, you will likely make a huge profit.
Okay. Hold on. Ty? I would like you to crunch those numbers again.
I believe the best way to invest in Bitcoin is to dollar cost average. That means to buy a set amount of Bitcoin every day or week, no matter what the price. For example, buying $20 of Bitcoin every day for 4 years, starting 4 years ago, would have turned $29,000 into $105,000. That's a 260% increase. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found value in it, please like and subscribe so more people can see this content. And check out the Bitcoin referral links in the description on the apps that I like to use to trade Bitcoin. It helps support this channel. God bless you and happy crypto.
What's a web page? Something ducks lock on? Ha ha, very funny.